Get ready, racing fans. The most electrifying week in motorsports is back. October 6th to 11th, Oswego Speedway transforms into the Clay Palace, the ultimate battleground for Super Dirt Week. From the thrilling races to the electrifying atmosphere, it's more than a race. It's racing's biggest party. Don't miss out. Super Dirt Week 2025, October 6th through the 11th.
New York.
Time expired! Syracuse has done it!
It's drive time with your host, Tim Leonard.
Hey, guess what? I'm getting one. Hey!
We welcome you into a Friday drive time. Tim Leonard with you for the next hour. Orange football back in action tomorrow, making their way down to Dallas, maybe already there. As we are under 24 hours away from ACC game number 3 of the season and one of these daunting road games on the Orange's schedule. There's 4 more of them. Syracuse already 1-0 on the road. 1-0 as 17.5-point underdogs on the road this season. That was when they had Steve Angeli. Now we'll see what Ricky Collins has in start number 2 tomorrow as the Cuse take on SMU. We welcome your phone calls throughout the show today. 315-437-7644. Always the phone number to call, and phone lines are open throughout the entirety of the show today. Get on in the Q Sports Talk chat as well. Q Sports Talk on our YouTube page, on the Twitch stream. You can follow along. You can always watch the show. There's no breaks on our Twitch stream or our YouTube simulcast. We will get into my 3 big keys, as we always do on our Friday drive times ahead of Saturday games. We'll get you our 3 big keys for Orange football in the game tomorrow against SMU. But unfortunately, want to mention this off the top of the show. We have had a habit of, unfortunately, bringing up sad news recently on the show. And this just coming out about 30 minutes ago, the Ravens releasing a statement on the passing of Arthur Jones, which is another member of the Syracuse family gone way, way too soon here. Arthur Jones, at 39 years old, we're just finding out within the last hour, has passed away today. So just crazy the week that Syracuse has had here. And unfortunately, Arthur Jones is another one that is very sudden and very young to be talking about this. The Ravens just released a statement from their general manager, Vice President Eric DeCosta. Arthur Jones, of course, the brother of Chandler Jones, played for Syracuse, was in the NFL for a number of years as well. The statement from Eric DeCosta saying, "We are terribly saddened to learn of Arthur Jones's sudden passing. Arthur's presence was a gift to everyone he encountered. His big, bright smile, infectious energy, and eternal positivity created a presence that continuously uplifted others. He was kind, courteous, and enthusiastic, always displaying a love for family, teammates, and friends. We send our deepest condolences to the Jones family and all who loved Arthur." So we pass that along as well. That's a statement from Eric DeCosta. Rest in peace, unfortunately, to another member of the Syracuse family. And if you have thoughts on Arthur Jones or want to pay tribute to him today, I see the phone is ringing right now. We welcome your phone calls on that, 315-437-7644. So I don't want to ignore that, and I know that he is, unfortunately, another passing here this week. It's been a weird, weird week, and just really sad all around. I'm tired of getting on here and talking about sad passings and sad deaths and sudden deaths. It's been Tiana Monkahi at 30 years old. Lawrence Moden, of course, early on this week was 53 years old, and now Arthur Jones. So did not want to ignore that, and I know a lot of you feel the same way and are passing along your messages right now to Arthur Jones's family, and wanted to make sure I address that off the top of the show today. Let's get into our Burdick BMW opening drive, though. And before we do that, let's hit the phone lines, because there is someone who wants to chime in with some thoughts on Arthur Jones, so I don't want to move off that. We'll get to our 3 big keys from the game tomorrow and what the Orange need to do to go down to SMU and get a victory. But let's see who we got on the phone lines here. Let's go to Mark, who is in New York City. What's on your mind, Mark?
Hey, Tim. Happy Friday. Sorry to be calling in under tough circumstances.
Yeah.
Seems like another hit to the Orange community. Didn't know Art Jones well, but we overlapped while I was at Syracuse, and he was kind of the first player that made me fall in love with Syracuse football. He went down to Notre Dame in 2008, had a game-high 15 tackles and a sack and a half down in South Bend, where the Orange pulled out a 24-23 win. And seeing Art Jones on the team then and his smile on the field, I mean, that's what made me fall in love with Syracuse football, and I've been locked in ever since. Would always see him around campus. The biggest smile, I think, recently, him and his brusher Chandler donated a lot of money to the Syracuse football team.
They did.
And there's so really, really tough news. Really tough news to see, and just feel like hit after hit in the Orange community. And then I'll let you talk about that. And then after, I just want to ask one question. I saw Matt Park. On a happier note, Matt Park won a great award last night, the Marty Glickman Award. I think he gave you a shout-out, but I also want to hear, after you chime in, just what Matt Park has meant to you and how much he's meant to the Syracuse community.
Yeah, well said on Arthur Jones, and I'm glad you chimed in, Mark. On the happier side of things with Matt Park last night, it was the Marty Glickman Award, which is a very prestigious award that's given to one Newhouse broadcaster every year. So if anyone missed that last night, in the middle of the Fran Brown show on the Syracuse Sports Network from Learfield, it was Mike Tirico, who is, of course, a Marty Glickman Award winner, and others that have won it include Sean McDonough, Ian Eagle, the list of great Syracuse broadcasters that we always talk about. They've all won this award, and it's one of their biggest honors. And Mike Tirico said, after calling in and kind of joking with Fran Brown a little bit, like, who's your favorite broadcaster? He then announced to Matt Park that he was the latest to win the award and is going to get honored here in about a month. So I'm glad you brought that up. It was awesome to be there last night. Matt did joke a little bit because when I got there, I hadn't been to the show in a couple weeks. So we were all kind of trying to play coy about it and surprise him in the right way, everyone through the Learfield team. And once I arrived to the show about 30 minutes before and hadn't been there in a couple weeks, I was hoping that wouldn't set off his antenna. But Matt has been an unbelievable mentor to me. I'm glad that you asked me that, Mark, because I was thinking about it a lot last night, and he's someone that, as much as he is a great broadcaster on air and probably doesn't get enough credit for that, and obviously bleeds orange and is a great representative of the university, maybe the most impressive thing about him, and that's not taking away anything from his on-air skills, but just how much he is a great mentor. I don't think the average Syracuse fan understands all the time and effort he puts in and all the time he has with students and how much that he is developing the next crop of Newhouse students. And the really cool thing about Newhouse is it is a family, and he is a very big part of that family. So I'm glad that you allowed me to touch on that a little bit. But sad news about Arthur Jones. If anyone else wants to chime in over the course of the show, we welcome your phone calls. I wish we weren't doing this again, and I don't want to look past this one. Obviously, this is another just tragic passing that came out about 30 minutes ago. Arthur Jones was 39 years old and has passed away. So condolences to his family. And with that, let's talk a little bit about Orange football in this game against SMU. We'll get into my three big keys here as the Cuse go down to SMU tomorrow. And let's start out by talking a little bit about the defense. I feel like the biggest thing that we've talked about all week has been, how much is the Orange going to change their offensive game plan? And how much are we going to see the run game? And how much are we going to see Ricky Collins be in a different role and Syracuse shift its identity offensively? What we aren't talking about enough is, will we see the defense change their game plan against SMU? Will we see the defense shift their identity? And it's a very fascinating matchup here when you dive into the numbers on SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings. Jennings is the type of quarterback that holds on to the ball a little bit too long at times and holds on to the ball about as much as any quarterback in the ACC. According to Pro Football Focus right now, Kevin Jennings is averaging about 3.03 seconds per pass play, per drop back to let go of the football. That is 17th out of 18 eligible ACC quarterbacks. Kevin Jennings also is turnover prone. And he also kind of runs into sacks quite a bit. We brought it up earlier in the week if you missed it. SMU has the number one pass blocking graded offensive line in the country. They right now have a 90 pass blocking grade on Pro Football Focus. That is the top mark, not just in the ACC, but in the country. So they have a very good veteran-laden offensive line. They protect Kevin Jennings very well, which is why he can hold on to the ball for a little bit longer than most quarterbacks. But he has still been sacked a fair amount, and Kevin Jennings has been working with a bum ankle and has not been quite the dual-threat quarterback that he was last year. Now, he might be a little bit healthier here off of the bye week, which came at a good time for him and several of SMU's players that are pretty banged up at this point in the season. But what we know about Kevin Jennings is he holds on to the ball quite a bit. He's got a really good offensive line in front of him, but he still runs into sacks. He actually has the highest pressure-to-sack ratio of any ACC quarterback this year, which means when he is pressured, 23% of the time that's turning into a sack. Average is about 15%, so he's not very good at avoiding sacks when the pressure does come. The pressure has not come on him very much because SMU is really good at protecting the quarterback. But we know that Kevin Jennings can make mistakes. So how do you game plan against a guy that has a good offensive line, but also is prone to making some mistakes when he does get pressured? Well, Syracuse's identity this year on defense that we have talked about a lot is they are aggressive. Every coach, when they're asked to talk about Syracuse's defense and what stands out on film, uses that word for the most part. Every coach uses that word aggressive. They're blitzing way more than they did last year, and it hasn't really been very successful, of course. The defense overall has not been successful, and they have not gotten home to the quarterback as much as you would like to see. So I almost view the game plan here for Syracuse. We know two things about their defense. We know that they have been blitzing more this year. We also know, which was the case last year and is also the case this year, that Syracuse plays a lot of man coverage. They rank near the top of the country right now. According to Pro Football Focus, the Orange play man coverage on defense about 39% of the time. That's 17th in the nation, 17th most man coverage in the country. They play zone coverage only about 56% of the time, which is 119th in the country. So one of the fewest in the nation in zone coverage, and they're a man-heavy team. I wonder if this is a game where you switch it up a little bit. You deviate from your identity. You're not as blitz-heavy because are you actually going to get home against Kevin Jennings in this offensive line when you know that the offensive line is the best in the country in pass blocking grade, and you know your defensive line and your pass rush has not been getting home against any offensive lines really to this point in the year? And maybe you sort of dial it back a little bit, play a little bit more conservative, play some zone coverage more. You might not have Devin Grant. You might not have Deuce Chestnut in this game. We'll see. You've got a young secondary that has been getting beat in man coverage, and they've been getting beat on deep balls. And Kevin Jennings is the type of quarterback that isn't great at making passes in the short to intermediate area, but he's got a pretty good deep ball. And he can make some mistakes. He is prone to make mistakes. He's got 5 interceptions on the year. He had 16 turnovers last year. Syracuse absolutely has to win the turnover battle to win this game tomorrow, in my opinion. They probably need 2 or 3 interceptions, and what will be really nice is if one of those interceptions could be a pick six, because Jennings is the type of quarterback that throws a pick six from time to time. He had 2 of them in the playoff game against Penn State in the first half last year. So I wonder if Syracuse and Elijah Robinson defensively look at this matchup and say, here's a quarterback that if anything holds on to the ball too long sometimes and makes mistakes because he's trying to do too much. And here's an offensive line that even if we sent the house and even if we blitz and even if we stuck to what our typical identity is this year, which is blitzing more, we might not get home, and we might be vulnerable to getting beat over the top because we've got a young secondary, and this is a really talented group of wide receivers at SMU. So that's one thing that I'm really thinking about in this game. We can get into the offense as well and some of the things that I'm monitoring about how Syracuse will handle the offensive game plan, and we welcome your phone calls throughout the show today, 315-437-7644. But I wanted to make note of that because I feel like the defensive side of things has been overlooked. Let's see what wrinkles Elijah Robinson has in this game. Let's see what Syracuse can come up with defensively that could maybe be different. And to me, it feels like it's time to deviate off of the game plan of playing a lot of man coverage and see if you can make Kevin Jennings sit back in the pocket, get confused a little bit in some zone coverage, and try and take advantage of some mistakes from him. If he's going to make mistakes anyway when he's had clean pockets this year, why even bother trying to get to the quarterback? It hasn't worked well, and this is not the team, in my opinion, that is going to be vulnerable to giving up sacks or giving up pressures to Kevin Jennings. This is a really good offensive line and pass protection. So that's something that I'm really going to be monitoring when the game starts tomorrow. How does Syracuse line up defensively? How often are they blitzing? How often are they playing zone coverage, which they don't play a lot? How often are they in man coverage? Those type of things I think are going to be fascinating in this game. We'll get to my other two big keys for the Orange to get a win down on the road in Dallas at SMU tomorrow. And we can get your phone calls as well at 315-437-7644. We're off and running on Drive Time. Back with more on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com.
Auburn Community.
I didn't have the chat pulled up. What did I miss? Phillies most wanted. We'll get into that next segment. Is this the game they go run heavy? Mike, how long you been at the DMV parking lot is the scary question to ask there. Yeah, Tirico is awesome. He's the best. I think Deuce has been a little banged up, too. That's right, John Jones, too. Big Syracuse family. A lot of kissing and I love you in the chat. This would make Paulie uncomfortable. Wow, Kyle. Sorry to hear that. Kyle in our YouTube chat said he had a class with Art Jones. Amazingly nice guy. He's also my neighbor. It's a tough one to swallow. Yeah. Been a weird week. I don't know. There you go, Mike. That's saving money. Like, when are we winning a golf scramble again? So, Kev, I'm good to order the pizza for Steve and Paulie. That's our game plan. I was going to say, are you going to be at Wildcat tomorrow for the watch party? I could easily just get you a Wildcat pizza while you're there tomorrow. That might be a move also. Oh, we'll do that then, Kev. I'll like Venmo Paulie or something, and he'll get it for you. We'll figure it out.
Talk.com.
Welcome back into Drive Time. Tim Leonard with you until 6 p.m. Getting you ready for the Orange and the Mustangs. First meeting since 1932. Second meeting ever against SMU. Got to go back to the Great Depression. The last time the Cuse played SMU. New member in the ACC. And going to be a homecoming for 5 Orange players from Texas. That's more than I can remember at any point on the Syracuse roster. Fran Brown has talked about how he enjoys that SMU is on the calendar. SMU is in the same league as the Orange now because of the Texas recruiting ties and direct flight, Dallas to Syracuse. He said that's a cool deal. So it'll be interesting to see what Syracuse has tomorrow, as they are 17.5-point underdogs again, just like they were in their last road game. That one went swimmingly from the start against Clemson. This will be Ricky Collins in start number 2, and we've been wondering throughout the week, how much will Fran Brown and Jeff Nixon and everyone else involved in the offensive game plan, how much will they change the offense this week? We'll get to my other 2 big keys, one of them being that I would like to see not only the run game come together, but let's unlock Ricky Collins, the runner, in this game. And on the note of how much will Syracuse look different offensively and how much will they try and establish the run out of the gate here against SMU tomorrow? I thought this was interesting. Fran Brown was on Gomez and Company for his weekly guest spot Friday morning on TK99 on Gomez and Company, right down the hall from us. And Gomez asked Fran Brown who right now is a breakout player for the Orange. I'll let Gomez start this, and then you can hear Fran Brown's answer. And tell me if you're like me and you're kind of reading between the lines at how Fran Brown handled this question.
Who should we keeping an eye on tomorrow, Coach, in the game against the Mustangs?
That's Sam Willis.
He's the guy. Expecting big things out of him tomorrow.
Exactly. He got to step up for the team. It'll be exciting to see Sam Willis make some plays. So I'm excited about that. And I think that B.J. Long has been playing some good football. So from an offensive side, Sam Willis. From a defensive side, B.J. Long, who been playing some good ball. Hasn't got a chance to start yet, but played a lot of football. And he's done a really good job. I like how he stepped up.
Yasin Willis was his clear and direct first answer to that, which is more evidence, I think, that they really want to establish who Fran Brown has called the best offensive player, Yasin Willis, early in this game. I'm sure that is going to be a major point of emphasis. I'm sure it's been discussed throughout this week in practice. Fran doesn't want to give away any secrets, but it seems like SMU is expecting them to pivot offensively based on what Rhett Lashley has said. And that was more evidence to me that if you're thinking about a breakout player and that guy comes to mind, I would have to think we are going to see a little bit more of running the football from Syracuse. Also, B.J. Long being the breakout player he mentioned on defense, that got my mind thinking when he said B.J. Long hasn't had the opportunity to start yet. Is he starting tomorrow because we know Devin Grant and Deuce Chestnut are banged up? We know that Fran Brown, when he spoke yesterday with us on Orange Nation, said Devin Grant might be out, but we're listing him as questionable. We know Deuce Chestnut, he mentioned, has been practicing a little bit better, but he's still kind of a questionable type of player after he did not play his normal amount of snaps in the last game against Duke, and obviously did not play his normal amount of snaps against Clemson. Apparently he was out there for 5 snaps against Clemson, but he was not a factor in that game against Clemson and has been hurt for the last couple weeks. So maybe B.J. Long getting a shout out there is Fran thinking about who are the guys that have to step up because of injuries. That's at least where my mind went after hearing that comment earlier today on Gomez and company. The question I have, though, going back to kind of the second key and my second key of the game tomorrow being unlock Ricky Collins, the runner. Well, Syracuse, I definitely think, is going into this game tomorrow and thinking Yasin Willis is going to be our bell cow. We're going to run the football more. We have to establish that. That will help Ricky Collins. That is our game plan. SMU's got a pretty good rush defense. They have a bad defense overall, really, really bad passing defense, statistically. And they have a pretty good run defense, top 40 in the country. They've got a pretty good front that causes some havoc. They've got some good edge rushers that honestly are probably more underrated than I think the average Syracuse fan thinks right now. We saw Ricky Collins. We discussed it in his first start. He got locked in on that first read. Well, sometimes when you see a quarterback who is dual threat or has the traits like Ricky Collins, the scary thing is they get locked in on the first read, and then their next tendency is not to scan the field, but to tuck in and run. And one of the things we discussed was Ricky Collins needs to stand in the pocket more. He needs to be willing to take hits like Steve Angeli and make the throws from standing in the pocket with the pressure converging on him. I thought Ricky Collins was pretty good at that, almost to the point where it felt like he somewhat ignored his running ability in this game. And I wonder if the coaching staff, when they reviewed the film with Ricky Collins, and Fran Brown, we know, watched that entire game back with Ricky Collins on Saturday night, I wonder if that was brought up. Let's not forget that you can be effective on the run. Remember, he made that really nice pass on the run that was unfortunately ruled just out of bounds, the tough catch from Justice Ross Simmons right before the goal line late in the second half. After reviewing it, he was just out of bounds. But that was an example of Ricky Collins showcasing his talent, showcasing kind of his instinctive playmaking, got out of the pocket. I was expecting to see him outside the pocket more than we did. And I wonder if the game plan in the playbook and what we see in the first drive tomorrow will be some designed runs or designed rollouts for Ricky Collins. Maybe more, I don't know if they would go option, but maybe just more of the RPO game where Ricky has the ability to tuck it and run as well. And maybe that is some of the tweaks that we see to the Jeff Nixon playbook tomorrow. I could see our logical takeaway from this game being Ricky made progress. I think Ricky's going to have a pretty good game tomorrow. I could see the takeaway from the game being Ricky made progress. He wasn't just locking in on the first read. He was first read, it's not there. Now I'm going to run the football, and he showcased his legs a little bit. I don't know if we're going to get to the point where we're seeing Ricky Collins scanning the entire field in his second start. This is still a young quarterback that has some work to do to improve, and I think that could be the logical next step, is Ricky incorporates his run game a little bit tomorrow. The other key that I was thinking about a lot this week for our third key tomorrow, Syracuse just has to be sharp on the little things. They're big underdogs here tomorrow. SMU is not a team that has been very sharp on the little things this year. They've had turnovers. They've struggled tackling. They have not been disciplined. SMU is 131st out of 134 FBS schools in penalty yards per game. Syracuse should take advantage of that. End this game with way less penalty yards than SMU. That would be something that would be in the formula to pulling off an upset. We know SMU is going to go tempo here. It's a 90-degree game. Duke did it against Syracuse because it was well-timed, and we knew that the ACC injury fine just happened, and Syracuse was not going to fake any injuries in the very next game, and the refs are keeping an eye on Syracuse and all those things. SMU is going to go tempo. And when you're a defender for the Orange dealing with tempo, your communication has to be sharp. You've got to be ready to sub in and out of the game. You've got to get on the field, get the play call, get lined up, get matched up. Little things like that sometimes we overlook. I think Syracuse has been fairly good in the little things, but SMU hasn't really been that good to this point. And if you can end this game and say Syracuse was better around the margins, they were better at establishing field position, just fair catches, just not shooting themselves in the foot with the special team stuff that we saw last week, I think that would go a long way into helping Ricky Collins succeed. So those are my three big keys for tomorrow's game. You got to force turnovers from quarterback Kevin Jennings, and we laid out how I'm interested in what the Orange defensive game plan will be. I'd like to see them unlock Ricky Collins, the runner, because I am fearful that SMU is going to start the game stacking the box. And SMU is going to do everything they can to take away Yasin Willis, because it's fairly obvious that Syracuse is going to do everything they can to establish Yasin Willis, and that is high on their priority list. But SMU is very vulnerable pass defense-wise. They don't really know who their best guys are, and they're mixing and matching positions and moving guys from nickel to corner and moving them around. Marcellus Barnes is a name, of course, that's now in the formula and in the discussion as one of the starting options at the cornerback position for SMU. And they have had an issue of not being deep enough in the secondary to play well deep into games. They've struggled in the fourth quarter, especially to stop the pass. So I really think Ricky Collins, I think our takeaway from this game, when we chat on Monday, I think we're going to say Ricky Collins had a nice game, and the offense isn't as much of a problem as we thought. But I am worried that we are going to come out of this game and think, man, the defense is still an issue. SMU is very good offensively, and they're coming off a bye week. They've gotten healthier. They're at home. This is a get-right opportunity for them. I think it was underrated that Ricky Collins went against Manny Diaz last week. Manny Diaz is known for puzzling young quarterbacks and known for puzzling quarterbacks, period. Rhett Lashley's not known for that. He's known for winning high-scoring games at SMU. So my concern is way more about the defense tomorrow than the offense. We'll hit a timeout. We'll bring in Gio Heater, who will be out at Wildcat tomorrow for the watch party that'll be going on during our coverage of the Syracuse SMU game, a Labatt watch party. You can join him at Wildcat. Paulie Sibilia will be out there as well. They'll have the pregame show. They'll have the Twitch stream running during the game as they did for the Clemson game. So keep that in mind tomorrow. If you're looking for a place to watch the game, Wildcat, always a good option, but especially tomorrow, 3:30 kick for the Orange against SMU. We'll have our Labatt watch party out there tomorrow. We'll bring in Gio for a new segment we're doing called Football Friday. We're going to preview the 5 biggest football games, NFL and college football, of the weekend. So stay with us here. We can still work in your phone calls as well at 315-437-6666. 7644. Gio joins us next for Football Friday here on Drive Time on ESPN Radio.
This is our.
Yeah, get Paulie a Diet Coke, or a Pepsi, I guess I should say. Hey. I just texted back. I would say, like, it'll be 5:39-ish we come back, because it's always, like, 4:30, so. Okay. As I said, Philly's most wanted, what happens when SMU's stacking the box and you can't run the ball, because that is the best part of their defense, the run defense. Yeah, that one's like broken. So. Yeah. So I've switched recently. Do you have one or?
I didn't bring him today because I wasn't doing like a full show.
Right. You could also plug in like little headphones if you have that, like anything that is that.
Nah, I use AirPods. But
Okay.
it'll be all good. I mean, I bet the sound's still.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
You just might have to
chill.
like hold it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
You were wearing royal blue last Friday, Gio? That's what Jen's saying. You can't even remember it, yeah.
No, I don't remember. Royal blue. I don't know if I own one.
Like a Duke blue, I guess, because.
I have like a polo that's like a slightly lighter than royal. I would say. Closer to a Carolina blue than a royal, probably.
All right. He absolutely did. I believe you, Jen. I don't think it's. I mean, you guys got to keep in mind their pass defense is terrible right now. So you can't just like not throw the football. And what if they get behind in the game again? I mean, let's talk Monday, because I feel like Ricky's going to make some nice throws, and maybe you guys will have a different opinion on his overall passing.
You said I'm like Steve Stepson with the blue.
You might want, I don't know if you're going to squeeze in this camera. You might want like the two-shot, yeah. Oh, nice. Sean Tucker. I know Irving is out. Should add Tucker in fantasy. You've got the Cuse again? I think they cover too, Kev. I'll do my... Yeah. I'll have to do my pick last segment.
This is my work.
Yeah, fresh off the course.
Let's talk some football.
Let's talk that football. I've got a bed too, NFL music that I can really get us in the mood. Yeah, it's something like that. It's a little off the
pregame show music, whatever's in the intro, is like a generic version of that, but it's like along the same like anthem-y vibes, and it's sick. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh my god!"
I need to get that as the band.
Yeah,
that'd be better.
You should steal it for sure.
And Radio Syracuse.
We welcome you back into Drive Time. Here with you until the top of the hour, 6 p.m. 5 to 6 p.m. every weeknight. Talking all things SU sports, SU football. And right now we're going to go outside of Syracuse football a little bit as Giovanni Heater has joined us in studio here. Gio will be out talking all things SU football tomorrow at the Labatt Watch Party. Out at Wildcat, you've got Paulie on the watch party this week, so that could get interesting.
Yeah, yeah, interesting's the best way to put it. No, I can't wait because Paulie quite literally is local celebrity status, especially in the SU sports community. So I can't wait to just kind of let him take the keys, run with it. I'm sure there's going to be lots of hilarious moments, funny things said, and we're going to have some pizza and wings and have a good time.
That might be generous, what you said, but we'll let it slide. The local celebrity status, maybe in his own head, Paulie is that. But you're in here to do a little Football Friday, so let's get the music going. This will get us in the mood here.
Oh, how about this?
Yeah, this feels right. So we're going to start a new segment, Football Friday. You've come up with the 5 games that you are most excited about, college football and NFL this weekend. So what do you got?
Yeah, I think the place to start has to be where College Game Day is going to be.
Yeah.
Number 16, Vanderbilt on the road in Tuscaloosa to take on 10th-ranked Alabama. 3:30 kick on ABC. Alabama, 11.5-point favorites. Vanderbilt pulled off the upset last year. Listen, Clark Lee and company, Diego Pavia, this is a program that's legit right now. You think they can keep it close with the Tide?
So, did you see the comment from Diego Pavia this week? He told, I think it was like On 3's Vandy reporter, that if we play our game, it will not be close.
I did see that. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's the second quarterback that's had words for Alabama, and the first one, I was doubting Castellana, so maybe we'll get to Florida State in a little bit here because they've got a big game this week too. But, yeah, I would think Alabama's going to cover and win this one.
Cover? Wow.
Yeah, just because of... They're not going to overlook Vandy again, right?
Sure.
It's literally the same game. They beat Georgia last year, and then they lost to Vandy in kind of a letdown. So,
before I saw Alabama play last week against Georgia, I would have thought that, hey, this thing's going to be close because, again, Alabama lost to Florida State, and we didn't think they were as great. But then you saw Alabama play last week against Georgia. I thought Ty Simpson looked surgical. He was playing like an NFL quarterback out there.
He looked good.
Offense was humming. I think Alabama's going to roll. I don't know about cover, though. There's just too much spunk to that Vanderbilt program. They're never going to roll over. They're going to play all the way through.
Didn't Clark Lee have Virginia Tech ties, or am I mixing that up?
He didn't have. He went to Vanderbilt. He played at Vanderbilt.
He was Notre Dame. What's his background? I was trying to see if you had any bias here over Clark Lee and Vandy.
Well, no bias other than the fact that I'm familiar because they've played Virginia Tech each of the last 2 years.
Yeah, he was Notre Dame before. Notre Dame, D.C., and then went down to Vandy. Okay.
That's right.
He was here at Syracuse, too, for a little bit
That's
as
right.
well.
Back in the day.
Yep.
Was that under Schaefer or Dino?
Yeah, that was Schaefer. He was a linebacker coach, probably. I could look it up. Probably like 2012 to 2015, somewhere in that range.
He's a heck of a ball coach.
Yeah, 2013 to 15.
Okay.
Linebacker coach at the Cuse, yeah.
He's a ball coach.
He's done a really nice job down there. That's a tough place to win,
That's
honestly.
probably the toughest place to win.
Yeah.
Because of the conference and everything. How about we talk about the big one in the ACC?
Yeah.
Marquee matchup, of course, Miami on the road. They're one of the top teams in the country. They look like a serious national championship contender. You have a real argument to make them the number 1 team in the country, depending on who you are. They're in Tallahassee playing Florida State. Florida State's looked really, really good. Lost a shootout in double overtime last week in Charlottesville against Virginia. Does Mike Norvell and company bounce back here?
So Miami is 4.5-point road dogs. They have not played a road game all year, but they have been tested, and they have looked very good every week. Their defense has showed a lot of growth. Florida State has looked very good on offense. They have not looked good on defense to this point. I would say Miami wins this game. I think, weirdly, I'm not as confident as maybe I was before the Florida State loss. Even though they looked bad last week, I feel like there's an opportunity for them to bounce back here, and I don't really see them falling to 0-2 in league play. But I guess the ACC is rooting for Miami to win this and just be a clear-cut number one team, you know?
Yeah. I feel like with Florida State, something that's going to help big time is Doak Campbell Stadium is going to be a zoo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's a
And this
awesome
is a
environment.
serious rivalry. Like, the only thing that these two schools have in common is that they're both in the state of Florida, and they're on different parts of Florida.
Yeah, they hate each other.
Yeah, like, this is an awesome rivalry.
It is a good game. This is the ABC night game. I'm going to be very interested to watch this. I'm worried. I think Florida State and the Florida State-Alabama result week 1, I think that's just going to look weirder and weirder as time passes here.
This game is interesting because I feel like it's actually one of the biggest matchups between these two teams since Miami joined the ACC, which was a long time ago. But, like, people have been starved for both these two programs to be good at the same time, and they really haven't. So this is huge. Would have been bigger if Florida State didn't lose last week.
Yeah, that would have been a top 10 game.
Yeah. But definitely a fun one. Another big one for you, Tim, in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I actually think it's the second biggest game in the league this week. We just talked about Virginia. They're going on the road to Louisville. Huge game in the ACC between 24 Virginia and a 4-0 unranked Louisville team. L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium, the house that Lamar Jackson built. This really asserts whoever wins this is probably the second or third best team in the ACC. So let me rephrase. Third or fourth best team in the ACC. Georgia Tech got away with a fire escape last week at Wake Forest. So we're going to learn more about the Yellow Jackets as things go on. I still think they're very good. But look, Virginia wins this thing. You're looking at a top 25 Virginia team that's 5-1 and 2-0 in ACC play. And then Louisville, they'd probably get ranked because they'd be 5-0.
Yeah, we don't know much about Louisville. They came back against Pittsburgh, but I'm not all in on them. I still have my questions about Louisville. I also have my questions about Virginia. Chandler Morris is really good. I just don't know if they're top 25 good. I think they're getting inflated by Florida State being inflated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously have a good offense, and they've got something cooking there offensively. I just think they're probably going to lose this game on the road, considering Louisville is a little bit more of a veteran-laden team, and Louisville always just kind of quietly gets to like 5-0 and 2-0 in league play. They always are right there, it feels like.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. This is an interesting one. I really don't know who I would pick because Virginia is going to give up a ton on defense.
Yeah.
They're not a solid defense, but their offense can score with anybody. You saw it last week against Florida State. Like, okay, we'll score 46 to win the game. And they kicked a field goal in the first overtime, so it's not like there were touchdowns in that overtime that were, really inflating things.
Sure.
So, fascinating one. I think we're going to learn a lot about both of those teams in Louisville on Saturday. Let's flip over to the NFL, talk some National Football League. Not a huge week in the NFL as far as finding ginormous marquee matchups. What do you like, though, when you look at Commanders at Chargers? Jaden Daniels is going to be back in the mix for the Washington Commanders. The Chargers have looked like one of the best teams in the NFL, especially in the AFC. 4:25 on Fox. Homecoming for Jaden Daniels. He's a Southern California kid.
Okay, nice. Yeah, great quarterback game.
Yeah.
Awesome quarterback game for, bragging rights of who is actually the best young quarterback right now, honestly, with Herbert playing well. I know the Chargers had a setback last week, so do the Commanders for that matter, without Jaden Daniels. That is going to be a really fun game to watch. So that's in L.A.
That's in L.A.
I haven't even looked at the spread. Are they...
L.A. is 3.5-point favorites, but the thing with L.A., you saw it last night. Granted, this is a tick more extreme, but you saw it with Thursday Night Football. It's going to be invaded by Washington fans.
Yeah.
San Diego fans are Charger fans. When they move to L.A., and same with the Rams moving there and everything, they kind of lost the same thing happens in Vegas with the Raiders. It gets invaded, and when you're playing a fan base that's as history-rich as Washington, it's going to be full of Commanders fans.
Chargers' offensive line looked bad last week, so I'm going to lean the Commanders. I just think Jaden Daniels coming back, he's so valuable to them, and I would say, who would you rather have, Jaden Daniels or Herbert? Because that's a tough one. I think I'd rather have Daniels right now, although I do think Herbert was hurt last year more than people realized.
I'll tell you this. I'd rather have, as a player, since you asked the player, I'd rather have Daniels.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have the marriage of Herbert and Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Herbert is going to be elevated by the coaching of Harbaugh. And so I'd rather have that tandem. But just individual player, I think it's hard to say not Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, he was so good last year.
He was awesome. We got time for one more?
Yeah, let's sneak it in.
All right, we'll sneak it in.
Because I think I know where you're going. At least you got to be going to Sunday Night Football, right?
Oh, see, I wasn't. Okay,
I mean,
you know what?
I'm a Pats guy. You're a Bills guy. We got to talk about it a little.
We'll go there.
I know it's not the closest game, but what were you going to bring up?
I was torn. I was either going a must-win situation for both teams between the Texans and the Ravens. These are two preseason playoff teams for pretty much anybody.
Out, right?
Lamar out.
Yeah.
Decimated with defensive injuries. They're both 1-3. I mean, almost everybody you talk to had these two teams winning their division and in the playoffs. And now they're both staring 1-4
Yeah, that's like
in
a
the
loser
face.
leaves town, to quote Bill Simmons. Yeah,
right.
You got to win that game if you're either of those teams.
So huge game there, and then Chiefs-Jags was Monday Night Football because the Jags are hot. They're 3-1.
The Jags are somehow 3-1. Doesn't feel right. Yeah,
but and it's at their place.
Well, quickly on Bills-Patriots, what's your confidence level in this Bills team? Because I think you can make a case that the Patriots match up pretty well against them.
I mean, the Buffalo Bills have scored 30 or more points in every game this year. They're going to get to 30,
yeah.
Right? And they did it against the Jets. Look at that. That's how you know we're going long when the music cuts out.
It's perfect timing.
They did it against the Jets, and Josh Allen didn't account for a touchdown. They're showing different ways to win. The one thing the Bills can do this year that they've never been able to do very strong before, except they could do it last year, but this is when like the tide shifted with Joe Brady as the OC, is they can run the ball. They're one of the best running teams in the league with James Cook and the rest of that backfield, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. I just like Buffalo's going to score points. Buffalo's defense has some serious question marks because they're banged up, but I don't see a world where you get into a duel. Give me Josh Allen to win the game and outscore the other team.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. It's a whiteout for that game too, which will be sweet. Those
the
new
unis,
yeah.
Are you guys aren't wearing unis, are you? It's just the home team.
Yeah, I think it's just the Bills.
They should have made both of them wear them.
It's also going to be a whiteout, and it's going to be it's going to be like 60 degrees and sunny, which is kind of funny. But
they should have saved that for December.
Yeah, I guess.
That would have hit.
I will say the Pats have the number 2 rush defense in the NFL right now. They haven't played the toughest schedule, but
okay, Tim.
You know, just bringing some facts to the table. We'll see how it shakes out. I know you're a Bills guy.
Well, I'm sure we'll be texting.
All right. Well, enjoy your time with Paulie tomorrow. Remember, Gio will be out at Wildcat Cuse Labatt Watch Party. You can follow it on our Twitch stream as well. And we'll wrap up the show after this with my official prediction for Syracuse and SMU tomorrow on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Tomorrow, the Orange.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good
We're
time.
way over, but who cares?
Are we?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. No. Like, it's not your fault. I went
We've
long
been
too.
behind since like the first segment.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, I'm sure you'll catch
that bed will keep us honest. When the bed runs out, we'll just be like, all right, we got to stop talking.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was still local in Pompey. You saw him recently, Gavendo? I mean, did he look good? Like, do we know any? I guess it's just another one that sucks, and I'm just bummed, just shocked by another. I think that's what rattled everyone about Lawrence Moden. I mean, everyone that saw him recently was saying that he looked great. Yeah, 39, Gavendo. It's crazy. Gotcha. All right, guys, drop your score predictions. What we got? That's how I felt last week, Jen. I had no feel for the game last week because of the Ricky. Now I'm like, I think I have a better feel, but yeah, Kev, it's just, those are the worst ones. I mean, they're all bad, of course, but Boeheim said that about Lawrence Moten. He said we were kind of prepared for Pearl, or the ones out of the blue that just, those are the gut punches. We've had too many of those. 27-18 Qs. That would be quite the watch party with Paulie and Gio if we get that win. Twenty-eight, 24. Is anyone going to pick SMU? Yeah, I'm more worried about the defense than the offense, Cavendo.
.1.
Riding into the weekend here on Drive Time as we wrap up the week of shows. Orange football tomorrow, 3:30 kick against SMU. 1:30 our pregame coverage will start here live from Wildcat. If you want to come on out to the Labatt watch party, Wildcat Pizza Pub in Camillus, Paulie and Gio out there reacting to all of the big moments from the Cuse and SMU. We've got watch parties coming up for all these road games, so keep us in mind. You can always join us for the live pregame, live postgame, and watch along with the guys. It'll be out at Wildcat Pizza Pub tomorrow. Before we leave you today, let's get you my score prediction for tomorrow's game and how I see this one shaking out. I've talked about how I think Ricky Collins is going to have a bounce-back game. Ricky Collins, I believe, is going to showcase his arm and throw for somewhere in the neighborhood of 265 passing yards in this game. I also think Ricky Collins, the runner, is going to be utilized, and that is going to be a wrinkle that I feel like Jeff Nixon and company will go to a little bit more here to try and get him some confidence and to try and get the offense clicking a little bit. My feel is Syracuse is going to come out and have a nice drive to start the game. They're going to settle for a field goal. And it's going to feel like game on. It's going to feel like, okay, they figured some things out. The vibes are good. But I am concerned about the defense and how Syracuse matches up defensively and how bad their pass defense has been, and the fact that Kevin Jennings and SMU are getting healthier, and the fact that Kevin Jennings and SMU are probably not going to see a lot of pressure from this Orange defense tomorrow, and he's probably going to see a lot of man coverage. And I feel like SMU is going to take control of the game once they get the rock on offense. I'm assuming Syracuse will have the first drive. We'll see how that all shakes out. My guess is it'll be 14-3 SMU at the end of the first quarter. Syracuse will cut it to a 21-10 game at the half. SMU is going to start the third quarter and add to that lead, and it's going to feel like the game is over. It's going to be 31-10 late in the third quarter before SU rallies back. SMU has not been good at protecting leads this year. 90-degree day. They have played worse in the fourth quarter throughout the year because they are a little bit thin in their secondary. I feel like Syracuse, once they're out of the game, kind of like we saw against Tennessee, is going to be freed up. Ricky Collins is going to make some really nice plays. Late third quarter, early fourth quarter. They're going to be back in this game at 31-24, down by just 7. And I think they're going to be driving with a chance to tie the game, all the momentum on their side. But I do worry that once the game gets tight again, SMU has had a habit of taking away the football. They've had lots of interceptions this year as a defense. And I think Ricky Collins will throw a late interception. SMU will go down and score. And the final score tomorrow will be 38-24 SMU over the Cuse. I believe that the takeaways we will have from this game is Ricky looked good. We're encouraged by the growth of Ricky Collins. He developed himself as a passer. We sort of realized, okay, maybe that Duke game was more of just a perfect storm than we were giving it credit for. But Ricky still makes mistakes. Syracuse still gets into too big of a hole where they can't really establish the run game like we were hoping for. And we have similar takeaways to the Duke game where we are very worried about the defense, very worried about, will Syracuse be too one-dimensional, and they keep falling behind in these games. And the chatter all of next week, I'm guessing, will be, why isn't Yasin Willis getting the ball more? Fran keeps saying that they've got to get him the ball more. They aren't doing it. But I think it's going to be a game flow problem again that is going to make it tough for Yasin Willis to get to the carries that they are anticipating. And I think we have to keep in mind SMU is going to stack the box. SMU has a good run defense and a terrible pass defense. And that scares me because it feels like right now Syracuse will be better off going against a team that has a bad run defense and a good pass defense. Given that, though, I think Ricky Collins will play better. And I have SMU winning this game 38-24 and the Orange covering a 17.5-point spread. We'll leave you with that. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to Drive Time. You can always listen back to all our shows in podcast form with no breaks on our ESPN Syracuse/Utica Rome podcast feed. Wherever you get podcasts, you can also watch them in its entirety on YouTube and on our Q Sports Talk Twitch stream as well. Thanks to Gio for producing once again. And enjoy the game tomorrow. Enjoy our watch party. Come on out to Wildcat if you can. If you can't, then tune in. QSportsTalk.com will be streaming Gio and Paulie going crazy over every play from this SMU game tomorrow. We'll talk to you next time on Drive Time on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com.
This is